So hello and welcome everybody. This is Denise Armenio. And we are here for Thursdays live working with the Genius Inside Health app. And I have Claire McIntyre with me today helping and to help answer any of your questions that you may have using the Genius. And if somebody is watching this and does not have a Genius and you would like to get a trial of it, if you're just here for a friend, please, you can email me at Denise@Inside Health Apps, or you can put it in the chat. And anyway, today I thought the focus would be on a group session. So I've asked everybody to put in the chat what they would like to work on. We have some Karen, who's in Canada, she has some smoke inhalation, so we can working on clearing your lungs a little bit. Okay, so we have some systemic fungus, Baker cyst, skin issues. So that's a good place. Those two are great for the biotrain, working on that, sleep issues. Okay, so rate them if you can. On the, well, we won't know on the sleep issues now, but surgery recovery from what, anything specific, like Charles, what surgery recovery? Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so you all should be able to see my screen. I am going to access Thursday. Actually, you know what? I'm going to set up a new one for today. Thursday live. And we'll use today's date, which is August 3rd, 2023. And we'll just leave it at female. So now we can continue with analysis. And we're going to hit begin here. Let me see if I can get, so everyone, you might want to unmute yourselves for a minute. And when everybody is unmuted, we can take a recording. So when that's done, I will just count everybody down. I'll say 3, 2, 1, begin, and just say your full name and repeat the vowels A, E, I, O, U until this 15-second counter gets to 0. So, and it there's still a few: Barbara, Julie, Michelle, Pam. If you want to be included in this, in the recording, if you want to unmute yourselves so we can get started. So if everybody's ready, 3, 2, 1, begin. Denise,
Rosemary Lloyd,
A-E-I-O-U,
Rosemary Bourne.
areas.
so I just muted everyone back up. Claire, we can unmute you if you want. You just got muted when I hit all mute. Okay, so I'm going to try to listen to voice harmonics. Maybe the sound will work. You know, we're still having problems getting that to work through. So I'm just going to hit the voice harmonics here. I can hear it. Claire, can you hear it? You can hear it? Oh,
No,
I see Karen said going no.
no, it's intermittent again, like cheap.
So anyway, well, it is going through the quantum field. So everybody will be getting the frequencies, even though you can't hear it. It's just a little bit of a bummer, sorry. So now I'm just going to hit next. And I'm going to hit continue. Okay, and now I'm just going to is everybody on here? I just want to see if everybody's, I think I have everybody on this page. I hope. And oh, wait a second, guys. When I take the picture, it covers up the photos on the bottom, and then I can't add the picture, so I have to. Now. Okay. Okay, so here's our group picture. I think everybody is in there. If you're not in there, don't worry, you're still all in there anyway. I'm just going to hit begin analysis. And continue. Okay, so here we can add an energetic affirmation. This is what the pop-up is asking us to do. So what this is you can leave an affirmation. I like to use the affirmation, all energies are transmuted into the frequency of love. And I'm going to type that in this box right here. And the genius will turn that statement into a frequency, just like it did for the voice. And that frequency is then overlaid whenever you run frequencies within this particular session. So all energies are okay, and then I can just hit okay. So now the next thing that I do is hit begin analysis down on the bottom. You will see that I have 4 categories, custom libraries being on the bottom. If you have a trial version of the Genius or a basic version of the Genius, unless you have created libraries or purchased libraries or have had a friend send you libraries, you will not have this category here. Everything else is the same. So just know that everything else is identical. Okay, so after the Genius does its analysis, it will then categorize the 3 main groups, body, mind, and biofield, into priority on where it sees the subject needing the most work. So for the group, body shows up, then mind, then biofield. Now, before we get any further, and I forget, I'm just going to go down to biofield and click on aura. And this, so we can get our aura picture, our picture. Okay, so we have the aura picture here, and you can now remove the avatar temporarily if you want to see what's behind there. And it is important to remove it because you do want to see these smaller layers of the aura, because there's information in here. You have your physical body and then you have your emotional body. And if the aura is there and you can't see those, you are looking at different aspects of the, you think you're looking at different aspects of the aura. So I do encourage you, after you get your aura, to hide the avatar on this, on the new aura. You can also switch to the old version and you can hide it. It's not as important as the other one, as on the other one. And just looking at this aura quickly, I can just tell you that we all need to go and ground ourselves, because we, according to this and seeing this where there's like no color, we are like out of our body big time. We can switch back to the classic. And again, grays and blacks are really not healthy colors for our biofield. And we are seeing that in here. It is in the aspects that are further out in space and time, but nevertheless, you don't want to see those in there. So hopefully we can work on clearing those. Great way to work on that is working with the spiritual protection library. And that is one of the my favorite, and in my opinion, one of the most important libraries in here. And I would always suggest working with spiritual protection daily. Sorry, everybody. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is what these numbers on the right-hand side of the system overview are for, or whenever you see these numbers, what they represent. So the Genius works on a numerical value-based system basis. It runs through the range from 0 to 777. The range from 0 to 200 is represented by the color blue. And this range is observed to be chronic energetic disturbances. So you've had those disturbances for those particular items for a longer period of time, that it's a chronic issue for you. In Chinese medicine, it could also be observed to be stagnant energy. And sometimes you may hear some of us refer to it as under energy. So maybe that item isn't getting enough energy. The next range goes from 201 to 450, and that is represented by the color green. We then go to 451 to 599, and that is represented by the color yellow. And then from 600 to 777 is represented by the color red. And items in this range are observed to be acute energetic disturbances. And that means that these items are in stress now in the present time. In Chinese medicine, these items may also be referred to as heat or inflammation, and they can also be referred to as over energy. And again, it's working with the meridians a lot that you might hear people refer to, a meridian being over energy or under energy. And that's how you can work with the meridians a little bit better and knowing some of that information. But you don't need to. But if you do, that's just using some of the language that you might hear. Our reds are over energy. Reds could be considered over energy and blues under energy. Michelle, you're asking overactive. So blues would be under energy. So last week, if you wanted to go look, when we worked with meridians, we talk a little bit more about it. So I'm not going to get into it here today, but you can always go back and look at the replay from last week. So the next thing I like to do is I will go to my custom libraries because I like to prime the body before I start working to make sure that they're getting their minerals, essential vitamins, amino acids, because we need all of those to help our bodies run most efficiently. So if we're going to make any corrections, we want our body to be in the best health it could be at that moment in time, nutritionally. And I also always work with all of the items in the biofield. So that's also in the library. So I'm just going to go to my custom libraries. Okay, so Michelle is asking if emotions like jealousy are blue, does that mean it's good? It's not it's simply meaning if it's in balance or not in balance. So every item is going to be different. If jealousy is the emotion that you're feeling, if it's out of balance, you're asking, does that mean you're not jealous? No, no, I wouldn't equate it like that. I would just, it's just not in balance. So, and again, Michelle, in that same line of your thought process, if let's say a vitamin shows up and it's blue, it doesn't mean that it's deficient. It just means it's been out of balance for a longer period of time. So jealousy, if it's blue, has been out of balance for a longer period of time. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means how long it's been out of balance for. So jealousy in red would mean that it's just kind of out of balance for today. I hope that makes more sense. Tammy's asking, why do I think the spiritual protection is one of the most important? Well, because it's working on our spiritual body and it's clearing negative energies and all different kinds of negative energies in there. And anything negative is going to attract more negative frequencies. And clearing your biofield is the first place you want to start because everything comes in there. And if you don't have a healthy biofield, it's eventually going to get to your physical body. So that's what it means. Michelle, does it mean supplement? I'm not sure what you mean. Are you meaning if I gave the example of vitamin? Does it mean anything in blue? So if vitamins, if it's blue, should you supplement? I mean, not necessarily. You can try to correct it first, running the frequency. Sometimes you can correct them and they're not going to show in blue. You should always check with the doctor though on what vitamins that you take or don't take. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to, prescribe or tell anybody to take any kind of supplementation, but using the frequencies, if you are taking the physical form, will enhance it. So it does help with that. But just because it's blue doesn't mean that you can't make a correction if you run the frequencies, maybe if you run it a couple of days or weeks, it's going to be different for everybody. And sometimes they may be green on the system page. And when you get to the main hold tray, they may show as being more stressed. So that is, you just have to see as you go and see how your body is reacting to it. Okay, Michelle, love all your questions. I just want to get back to starting the scan because otherwise I'm not going to get to it at all. But I'll let Claire, maybe you want to answer about the wrist straps.
Sure.
Okay, so where am I? I'm going to our bioterrain. So vessel priming frequency. So here you can see that this library panel is showing as 82. It's blue. So for the group, it is showing that it has been out of balance for a longer period of time. However, I do also want to point out that the Genius, every letter, number, they all have a frequency. When you put them together, you know, the letter L has a frequency, the letter O has a frequency, V has a frequency, E has a frequency. Those letters, when they're by themselves, each has a frequency, but when you put them together and it spells the word love, it has a very high frequency. That's also the same thing like for rose, a rose and love, they all have a very, very high frequency, and it's the same frequency. That's why we give roses when we love people, or at least that's how it started, because they're the same frequency. But here, this title, bioterrain vessel priming frequency, has its own frequency. And so the frequency of this line has been out of balance chronically. So that could be more general. Not everything in the panel, as we see when we open it up, means that it's been chronically out of balance. You can see there are plenty of reds. If I scroll down, there are blues here, but I've had cases where there are library titles that could be blue or red, and you open it up and they're all yellows and greens. And people always wonder, well, why? And the reason why is because the Genius is looking at the frequency. So everything that you type in has its own frequency, and it's looking for in your body on seeing if that frequency is how in balance or out of balance it is. So right now I am going to add all of these items into the tray for all of us. And now we can go to the progressive insights, and you get there by clicking on the right, on this bottom banner that looks like a play button, and it brings us to progressive insights. And down on the bottom, it says begin analysis, and I'm just going to click begin analysis. And you can adjust the timer up top. I'm going to slide it to 1 minute. You can see here where it gives the time. And then I'm going to select all the frequencies and press play. Just going to grab a glass of water quickly, everyone. Okay, so on the bottom where it says average percent rectification, you can see it says it's 28%. I always like to see that 40% or above. So I am going to run these frequencies again, but I'm only going to run the highs and the lows this time. And I'm going to just run them for 30 seconds and seeing if the shorter spurt of time will help just stimulate things a little bit. So I'm just going to hit play there down on the bottom. Tammy, you're asking, are these from system overview? I'm not sure what what is what from, you mean are all the frequencies in the progressive insights right now from system overview? Most of them are. I have everything from the biofield in here. I have all the minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and then I do have some other items that I've added on my own to that library. But if you don't have that library, my recommendation is to add everything from the biofield and do your minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and use those as a primer. And like we discussed in, I don't know, we did meridians last time. We may have done custom playlists the week before that, but you can always set up a custom playlist for that. Oh, sorry, I'm talking in. Well, I guess we needed to have it a little bit longer. So we have a 50% rectification here. And I apologize for my phone ringing, you guys. So that is good. I'm really happy with that. I just also want to point out that there is a rescan button at the top right. So if you hit this, it will kind of not reshuffle. It will move everything around. So I kind of think of that as whatever after you just ran the frequencies. Now what needs to be worked on next will kind of like come to the surface. So we can do that now. Okay, and then you obviously since it's in a new order, your highs and your lows are going to be different now. So you could choose to run them again, but because we had a high rectification, I am not going to run these anymore. I was really happy with that. I am going to empty the main hold tray though, and you expand the main hold tray by hitting this little up arrow on the left-hand side by this plus button. And then at the top right corner of that pop-up box, it says clear all. And now I have emptied it out. So I am going to go back to the system overview page. And the next thing I'd like to do, so if I know a lot of people like to know, like, what do they do first? What do you do second? What I just showed you is what I always routinely do first. And then the second thing I do is I will click on system overview and it brings me to another page called general overview. And this will bring up all the line items and put them in numerical order. And they're no longer being seen in categories. So now you have a really clear representation of what all your highs are, what are all your lows. And when you're working with energy and clearing energy, anything can cause anything. So when you're looking to, work with any ailments that you're trying to support, if you work with the items that are the top and the bottom, those could conceivably be your underlying causes for many different issues. So that is why I always recommend using this library. I have a lot of libraries. So there's probably, there could be 100,000 line items in here and way too many to drag all the reds and the blues into the main hold tray. So I will just add the top 50 and the bottom 50, and you can see it by this little pop-up box that comes on the bottom from this plus button. So now I have 100 items in the main hold tray. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. The next thing I will do is remove the library. So up top next to the question mark, you can see remove library in purple. When I remove that, it will just leave me with all the line items from the system overview page. And before I do that, the other thing, you see the 0 to 100. If you click on that, it just flips the view. So right now we're looking at all the highs. If I flip it, now we can see all the lows. So this is suggesting that the group, potentially the governing vessel 0.19, has been chronically out of balance. There may be the emotion of guilt that has been out of balance, chronically out of balance for the group. And then we have a bunch of other items in here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you get the idea. So now I'm going to remove the libraries, and we're just left with the ones from the system overview. And I'm going to go through the same process by hitting this plus button and then adding the top 50 and the bottom 50. And the reason why I really love also grabbing the top and bottom 50 from the system overview page is because you're really, you're working with, a lot, most of the reds and blues from that page. So you're really covering a lot of territory when you work with it like this, in this way. So I can now click the play button, and which will bring us to the progressive insights, and hit begin analysis. And again, I am going to move the timer to 1 minute and select all and hit play.
Denise, there's a couple of questions.
Yeah, I'm looking at, so Michelle's asking, what if there are more than 50 reds at 777? Well, from mine, in you're going to always, I have so many line items that if you just look at it mathematically, the Geniuses has 777. Really, if you it doesn't go to 0 technically. You're only going to see ones up to 777. And if I have 100,000 line items, there's, you're going to have more than one in all of them. So no, you shouldn't be alarmed by seeing it there. It's just it's just the algorithms are setting it up, but you're going to have, depending on how many libraries, more, at a higher level than that. Could these frequencies simply be an imprint from other entities, not necessarily belonging to the user or client? I'm going to pass on answering that question right now, just because I want to get to that. There are frequencies that are in your field. So if you're empathic and you absorb thing, yeah, you can pick them up. But entities, once they're in your field, even if you pick them up from someone, they're in your field, and you want to, and you're going to want to clear them. As far as emotions, sure, you can absorb emotions from other people, and it's all frequencies and energy. So again, once it's in your field, if it doesn't clear naturally on its own and it remains in your field, you're going to attract similar type frequencies. Okay, so we had a 29% rectification there. I'm going to click all so that they get deselected, and then I'm just going to run the highs and the lows for 30 seconds. And because I want to run the frequencies less than 1 minute is why I put it on 0. I also had someone that didn't realize for the timer, if it's on 0 minutes, you can run the frequencies. They will run until you click on the screen and stop it. So if you did nothing, it would conceivably run for, I think it's 500 minutes, which is close to like 8 hours, or is 8 hours. And whenever you stop it, when it's on 0 minutes, you will get a % rectification that you're seeing down here on the bottom. However, if you select 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, or any increment, but from 1 to 30 minutes, if you stop it before it's finished, it will not calculate an average percent rectification. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so now I'm just going to run these frequencies for 30 seconds. Okay, so that's still below 40% rectification. So I am going to deselect the highs and I'm going to just run the lows. And because you can see it's still blue here, you can know that they're still checked off. And I'm just going to run the lows for 30 seconds now. So Michelle, you're asking, running it at 0 minutes, is there a limit? You mean a limit like when it turns off? I believe the set limit, if it's at 0, is 500 minutes. So if it's at 0 and you don't stop it, it will run continuously for about 500 minutes. I've never actually timed it myself, but I have run frequencies overnight, and so I know that there is about 8 hours there. Okay, so great. We had a 54% rectification. The other thing I just want to point out is that there's harmony, alignment, and energy flow just above where it says average percent rectification. The average of these 3 items is what gives you the average percent rectification. And I always want to see, I never want to see a more than like a 20% range on the 3 of these, only because it's my feeling that it won't hold, that it could be easily it can easily go back out of balance again if these 3 aren't like tighter in their ranges. Like this, the low is 49 here and the high is 58%. So that's what, 11. But you wouldn't want to see like a range of like 50 is what I'm saying. So anyway, I hope that helps. I'm going to go back now and I'm going to clear the main hold tray again. And so we can go to system overview, back to system overview. Now, sometimes, or really all the time, after I run those 2 protocols, the other thing I always like to look at, and if you want to do this first, you can do that too, is I always like to look at today's stress just to see, where you're at, or a baseline for the day. So again, for the group, we have sensitivities showing as red. Now, again, it's red. And that's the general word sensitivities. We could click on here. Oh, sorry. We would have to go to the panel for sensitivities to see what specific might be off for the group, but it's saying that the sensitivities are out of balance like today for the group. And then if we look lower, now we can see what the items are that have been out of balance on a more chronic level. So, we could either choose to run all of these, and that might not be a bad idea to do, is just add those items into the main hold tray. And we can also add sensitivities. And then we can go back out. You can always look at, some of these other items. But again, we did work with the highest highs and the lows for this all the items in this system overview. So, I feel like that we've worked with all of them well enough. So we can just go and probably jump right into the bio train, because I think that's where most when they were writing, I think there were skin issues. I would have to scroll all the way back, but working with the bio train, I believe will be most helpful for everybody in the group. You can also quickly just look at minerals. And when you see the manganese, magnesium, and molybdenum, those are usually good indicators that you have parasites or and issues going on in that gut. So that's a good indication that you want to be working with the biotrain libraries to help work with that. So I'm not going to pull these individually right now, because we already worked with all the minerals. Another thing I would say is lithium. Almost always you want to work with that, especially to help clear emotions. So that's a good one to always add to your tray. So we can go now into custom libraries. I'm going to click on there and go back into bioterrain. And we can look at, we have a bunch here that are blue. And I just want to see where are, so we have the parasites, flatworms, roundworms is showing up as blue. Parasites, I am going to hit that one because it's has more types of parasites in it. I'm going to add all the reds and all the blues to this tray. And then I want to look at some of the other items up here that were low. We can add, I'm just going to add all of these 3 into the main hold tray. And what else do we want to, we can work with this one too. And we see that there's some mold. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here. I want to add in some like solutions just to help balance things out. So I'm going to go to the biotrain sounds, colors, and elements. And it's always good to get some of these colors and the frequencies to help clear some of these items. And then there's also the remedies for the parasites. And I'm going to add the reds and the blues here. Did I get the reds? Okay, so we have 178 items. I'm going to go back to the progressive insights now, and I get there again by clicking what looks like to be this play button on the bottom right. And now we can hit begin analysis. And I'm going to turn the timer to 1 minute and select all and hit play. Also, Probably most of you know this, but those of you who may be watching the replay on this, it is really important to stay hydrated. So please make sure you're drinking water before, during, after. It will keep you hydrated. It will also make the balancing session more efficient the more hydrated you are. So now we had a 38% rectification here. That's not so bad. I'm not going to run all of them again, but I am going to rescan it and just work with lows for 30 seconds. And I just want to make sure it's okay. Karen, I didn't forget. I know that we want to work on the lungs for you. So we're going to go there next. That's structured water. H3O2 is structured water. Oh, I think that's what you were talking about, Michelle, right? Right. I'm not really sure what. Oh, okay. So now we all have a 50% rectification. So that is great. So now that we can go back and I'm going to clear out this main whole tray here. And I want to look at the lungs. Actually, I want to do respiratory. And I'm just going to add all the items from this into the tray. And we can have some solutions, respiratory solutions. And I want to go to the and then we can go to lungs, and I'm going to go into the entangled insights for lungs. And look at everything in the database for entangled insights. Okay, and so for here, we don't need to, we wouldn't want to click like the add 50. So I'm just going to drag and drop individually all the ones that are 100%. And then I'm going to add all the ones that are 1%. And if you're wondering why I add the 1%, it's kind of because if you think of a bell curve, if you get all the ones that are 100 on this side, you want to get the items that are on the other side. So that's why I add the 1% as well. It's just a little tedious when you have to drag and drop all these lines. So you really start to appreciate the when you can add in all the, pressing all the reds, all the blues, etc. Okay, so we have them all in here. I'm going to now hit begin analysis and in the group for anybody that may have issues, respiratory issues. This is, of course, working for everyone. And let me just, yes, I should hopefully have it. I have one of parents' panels. Let's just see. Um, maybe I don't have it. I must not have it. And did I miss what you're saying? Karen, what do you want? Can you? Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't for me. Okay, if you guys can maybe just like table the comments for a minute because they're coming in fast and furious right now. And it's hard for me to read them as I'm going here. So let me just hit select all, and we only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure I get all of this in. Oh, and you're welcome, Karen. It's just, it's so hard to follow when the comments in the chat are moving so quickly. So thank you for being patient. So one of the comments that Karen made is that if you have shungite, you can put it in your spring water and you can put it on a remedy plate using the Genius and bring that frequency in, and she's seeing a lot of great changes with it. So here the average percent rectification is 31. I am going to rescan. Baron, how are your eyes? Your eyes are sore. We worked on them. I mean, I know, did they get any better, or did they revert back with all the smoke and everything still in the air? Yeah, it's hard to make any corrections. I guess you just have to work on them daily. Okay, so that percent rectification is still low. I'm just going to run it again for another little bit. And now you had a 53% rectification. So that is great. I am going to go back and now just check the aura for everybody as it's already 3 o'clock. And let's hope that maybe we can have worked with some of these things better. Okay, so it's looking better. It's still blurry, and this is sort of like a gray color around here. I know it looks white, but there's really like a grayness to that. So I'm not really reading that as being so great in there. It does seem like that we are all grounded as the energy is coming in, moving. It's mirrored because we're looking at the screen. The energies move left to right, but when I say it's coming in on the right now, it's where we're visually seeing the screen. So the energies are coming in and we appear to be all grounded. So that is a good thing. We do have some programming lines coming in, but anyway, that is a good sign. So we did see some movement. How is everybody feeling? After we worked, and Tammy, is it efficient to get the biotrain library without biotrain course? Yes, Tammy, you can purchase the biotrain library and just get the libraries. You don't have to purchase it with the course. So you can definitely do that. And anybody else? How was, I forget what some of the issues were, but I do hope everybody is feeling better. I am going to just stop sharing here. And it was so great to work with everybody today. It is after 3, so I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. And I look forward to seeing everybody back here next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. That would be 11 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Claire, UK time, 6 or 7.
7, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, 7. Okay. So, yes, look forward to seeing everybody next week. So thank you all so much. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope the balancing session helped everybody and that you see some positive shifts over the next day or so. So bye for now.
Cool.
Bye.